Yo, shalom.
Shalom, y'all.
Yo, I'm Black Ice.
And I'm Akis.
Welcome to the Black Narrative. Happy Tuesday.
Yes.
Man, today was a very busy day.
Man, it seems like the past few months just been busy, but man.
You've been very productive, though.
Productive, exactly.
Yeah.
Let's say that.
Yeah. I'm glad you're here. Definitely go ahead and like, subscribe, hit the share button that we're here. We will be on this. We will be broadcasting on this channel for a while, but if they missed the live show, that's fine.
About how long will we be on this?
I didn't even want to say, bro. Probably a couple months still till everything get cleared up for YouTube.
We're doing a little YouTube bid.
Yeah. And as y'all know, a lot of black channels will get shadow banned, and us we got hit a little bit harder, but which is fine. We still upload. Yeah. So those who missed the live show, the live broadcast, this will be uploaded to the Black Narrative channel after the show. So that's fine. And thank you all for the support, all the Patreons, people hitting us up with Cash App, PayPal. We appreciate y'all as well. We have a great show lined up. We're gonna go with reparations. Has been a bit talk lately because of a press conference that happened recently in the hearing. Right. And we're gonna listen to the 3-minute video of that. But after we listen to that 3-minute video, what we decided to do is we went back in history and all the time the U.S. did pay reparations to people.
Because, I mean, if reparations seems like a very, of course, being Hebrew Israelites, we look at it like we're not going to get reparations until we leave out of here.
Yeah, to leave out of here.
But it's still one of those things where, I mean, in order for us to get proper reparations, the world would have to go bankrupt.
Yeah.
But, let's talk about reparations like it's an actual feasible thing.
Yeah.
They don't want to do that.
Nah.
They don't want to do that. They don't want to dish it out. But yet they're able to do it for all these different groups of people. Yeah. And some of the groups of people you'll see is going to be a bit surprising.
Yeah. So I mean, so the reparations is not a foreign concept for the U.S. Like they've done it many times.
Multiple times.
It's just not for us.
Yeah.
So people tell you like, oh, you never paid reparations. No, yes, they paid reparations before. Yeah. Multiple times, and we gonna go through it. We want to share the information with you. And we learned some new things while putting the show together. Yeah. And whatnot was making it amazing. But we're going to start off with, we're going to listen to this audio here. Recently, this is from Reparations discussed in the White House press conference, raises questions on Biden support. This was on MSNBC. Mm-hmm. So we're going to start off here first, and then from there, we just kind of go with the show. So we get this audio.
Panel this week, Jen Psaki, the White House press secretary, talked about Biden's support for reparations, but she stopped short of saying that Joe Biden would sign the bill if it got to his desk. What do you make of that?
It was a really telling moment. What I make of that is that White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki wanted to be cautious on this topic, but it's a topic that especially African-American voters and Black women who were key, integral to President Biden winning this election, and they are watching this closely and wanting this to happen. This is not saying that people are going to get checks in the mail tomorrow. This is saying that there's going to be a study on reparations. Vice President Biden is on the record saying that he would support something like that. So I think it's really telling that she didn't want to go as far.
Haven't they been studying reparations for a minute?
Well, we're going to learn tonight that nobody else had to go through a study to get the reparations.
Right.
They just got paid.
Man, nobody had to do an in-depth
study and research to determine. Like, no, they had to go through all that mess.
Man, look, Joe Biden is doing a lot of studying. I'm going to study reparations. I'm going to study marijuana to see the effects of marijuana.
Maybe told Charlamagne to get that. That's crazy.
Even though tobacco and alcohol is legal. But in order to legalize marijuana, we need to see the effects.
Yeah, we heard that conversation.
It's a lot of studying.
To say that he would support this specific bill. So I think this is a place where we're really going to have to watch closely what happens. This is a bill that's been moving through Congress for a while now. And I think now that Democrats have so much power, you have African-American people, African-American leaderships saying, why can't we focus on this issue? We know that African Americans are not being treated equally in this country. We know that there are economic consequences to the institutional racism that Black people have faced in this country, and that is separate and apart from any other race in this country. Black people being held in bondage, enslaved for years in this country, that hurt generations of African Americans. And this study, people think, will be integral to trying to right some of that wrong. So I think we're going to have to really watch the White House and continue to press them on their stance on that bill.
Yeah, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson-Lee has picked up the mantle after Congressman Conyers, and she will be on with my colleague Jonathan Capehart tomorrow on the Sunday show, so be sure to tune into that. Yamiche, before I let you go, I do want to ask you, just on a personal level, how is it covering this administration? We all saw you getting harassed by the President of the United States, the 45th President of the United States. So covering this administration, I'm curious how you show up with your lived experience there and how it's been for you in this first month.
Well, I can tell you that things have been radically normal, Tiffany. We go, we have a schedule. The press briefings are when the press briefings are. That's not to say that we're best friends with the administration, right? The relationship will still be one that's adversarial because you have a press that's pushing for answers. You have an administration that at times does not want to give us the answers to those questions, critical questions, right? Like when are things going to get back to normal? President Biden said that might happen as early as Christmas. The White House press secretary was a little bit more cautious and not wanting to give a specific date. But that being said, President Trump had an agenda, a strategy to make the media part of his opposition, to harass and target reporters. And he thought that was to his political benefit. We just have not seen that with President Biden. We've seen a president who, while he has pushed back on members of the media, has done so in a pretty respectful way. So I think right now we're still having a shared sense of respect. And that I think is a good change. It's a good way to go forward in a democracy that is facing so many challenges in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of a racial reckoning, in the middle of a climate crisis. There are so many things going on that it's good that we can at least have normal and respectful exchanges.
That alone is sounding dumb.
That was interesting because she was like, Biden and Trump are doing the same thing, but at least Biden's doing it respectfully.
Yeah, at least he smiles when he does it.
Man, the fox versus the wolf.
Yeah, like it's crazy. But here's the interesting things I peeped out on to me, the best part of the videos on YouTube are the comments.
Right.
So, am I face blocking this thing? Yes, I think it is. We're about to move it up. There you go. Yeah. So here, look at the likes and dislikes here.
What?
People are not feeling the reparation talk, like by the bleach people.
Yeah.
So I even just screenshotted some comments here I thought were interesting. Wow, they already get paychecks, food, and we pay for it all through our taxes.
Like we don't pay taxes.
You know what I mean? I have actually never heard a more idiotic idea in my life. Joe campaigned on being a unifier and bring people together, but this would just raise racial tensions, as if
racial tensions are already being Hey, I wonder how they feel about police brutality.
Right.
That's not raising racial tensions.
Well, according to them, they don't even exist.
Right.
I saw some more stuff. Yeah, no, we shouldn't pay the natives. Yeah, like people believe she didn't pay the Native Americans reparations.
We stole it fair and square.
Yeah. None of this should be paid by the taxpayers. Taxpayers had nothing to do with any of this. Maybe you should pay me for my Irish ancestors for being treated worse than black people. Worse than black people because they're treated cheaper.
Now, you ever heard of that whole that it's like a white supremacist myth that the Irish were in slavery and in bondage worse than the blacks and for longer?
I know, like there was a time where they got treated.
They're indentured servants, but
but nothing. But I had never heard a whole bunch of Irish people getting lynched. I never heard a whole bunch of Irish sex farms.
They went through indentured servitude but it wasn't chattel slavery. Their kids were free. Wow. They were able to get land. The Irish were fine. The Irish owned slaves.
Wow. But you know what? But somebody kept it real at the bottom here. This bottom comment here. We lift this up some. The same things you're all saying have come. No one ever tells this to the Ish community about the Holocaust. Typically, you're all selective with your targeting only the black community. It's always forget about the past and slavery and we should move on. But you hypocrites will never say the same thing to the Ish people.
Right.
Facts.
And I mean, look at different nationalist movements in Europe. You got the Catalans, you got the Basque, you got the Irish. You have all these different nationalist movements.
Yeah,
they're all white, but they don't forget what the people in the same country as them did to them.
Right. Yeah. It's not.
But when it's our problems,
how they treat us, man.
Right.
They print off another trillion. I identify as being black since so I can get a check as well. That's how everything works these days. I actually responded to his comment. I was like, yeah, you already did that with the $5 Indian, but we get into that a little bit later in the show. Like I ain't tried that before. Oh yeah, there's some good classic Joe Biden quotes. poor kids can be just as talented as white kids. I've been watching that footage.
Ain't that something?
If you don't support me, you ain't black. I've been watching that.
Yeah. That was a big one.
Yeah. I don't call Asians ask for anything, especially considering what they went through the West during the 1800s. If you don't know, go make yourself smarter. Well, the person don't know that Asians did get reparations.
Right.
After World War II, but we will get into that.
And another thing, as far as the Asians being out West during the 1800s and building the railroads, they came to America.
Right. Yeah, they were just captured and put on the ship.
Right.
And then we banned them for a while.
Yeah.
The Chinese people. This was a recent quote from Joe Biden. Minorities have a hard time using the internet. He said this like last week.
Man, does Joe Biden know how to turn on a computer at this point?
I mean, but the thing that we let him get away with saying that black people let get away with him saying, it's crazy to me. Oh man, it was some good funny ones in here that I saw. Yeah, this is so much BS. I can't believe people are sitting here seriously talking about something like this with a straight face. There's so much wrong with their logic at so many levels. You know what they used to do it. I can use some of the reparations money to pay off the rest of my student loans. Yeah, but my thing is that should be a human right, not a reparation type thing.
Right.
Yeah, got some more here. Got some more good ones I saw here. Someone else quoted him from Charlemagne's show. Yep. Pay me for what happened to my ancestors, even though none of us was alive. I want free money and get into college for doing less than others. Yeah, reparations. Somebody trying to be funny here. This is how people really think about us. See, people, the liberal media tries so hard for the past 4 years to lump all racism and white supremacy into Trump.
Right.
No, that was going on way before he even entered office.
Here's the thing about it. These people walk among us.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, this is how people think on it, but there's anonymity on the internet.
Oh, and I would believe, and I wouldn't be surprised having these people are Democrats. These are liberal racists.
Yeah.
All racists are not conservative.
Yeah. Look, this video was on MSNBC.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure not all the people running to watch MSNBC are Trump supporters.
Yeah, this must be a conservative. We already stole the election. Should we push reparations too? Gold chains and big rim sales are going to go up.
I mean, this is what they think about us.
Yeah, that's exactly what they think about us, bro.
And I mean, shoot, if we were to get reparations, not far from the truth.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, the guy named Jimmy. I now identify as a black female. Where's my check coming? These people be cracking jokes, bro.
Goodness.
Yep. So people who weren't slaves would get money for people who didn't own slaves. Yeah, that makes sense. Like, these people are ignorant, man. But this is showing how the people really think about you, man. These are normal, everyday people, man.
They're not affected by the problems that slavery left behind. They don't care.
Nah, they don't care about any of that stuff, man. Right. Hits keep on coming. The more they pass out, the less our dollar will be worth. The American dollar is losing value anyway.
Right. So what are they going to be?
Shout out to cryptocurrency. That's about to be the wave. Oh my effing God! This stuff happened more than a century ago. No one alive today in America have been victim of slavery. So I mean, they the arrogance, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's how they feel. They live in their bubble.
Yeah, this person has some sense. Studying means you're not getting anything.
Yeah, exactly.
They made some sense here.
They're going to be studying for 4 years.
Yep.
or until Kamala offs Biden.
Yep. So like, man, so this is crazy, man. But this lets you know, man, what they really think. So, but anyway, moving on to people who did get reparations. Mm-hmm. Did you know the U.S. government paid reparations to slave owners?
Ain't that something?
You know, by Lincoln.
The same dude that did they dished out the Emancipation Proclamation.
Yeah, but don't want to talk about this part though, right?
Because his main goal was to keep the nation together.
That's it. He didn't care about the morality of slavery.
No.
On April 16, 1862, President Abraham Lincoln signed a bill into slavery in the District of Columbia. Passage of this bill came 8.5 months before President Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. The act brought to a conclusion decades of agitation aimed at ending what anti-slavery advocates called the national shame of slavery in the nation's capital. It provided for immediate emancipation, compensation to former owners who were loyal to the Union of up to $300 for each free slave, voluntary colonization of former slaves to locations outside the U.S., and payments up to $100 for each person, which means right here they talk about Liberia.
Right, because
Remember, this happened because that whole Liberia thing happened before the Civil War.
So it's interesting because, Abraham Lincoln's plan to compensate the slave owners didn't give slaves 3 acres and a mule or no kind of
he paying the slave owners, and then he paying them for their loyalty to him.
Yeah, exactly. Paying them for their loyalty and then paying them to send the slaves off out of the country. So this is what Lincoln was about.
This is what we're really about here.
Yeah.
The act brought to a conclusion decades of agitation. Over the next 9 months, the Board of Commissioners appointed to administer the act approved 930 petitions, completely or in part from the former owners for the freedom of 2,989 former slaves.
Goodness.
Hey, here's an actual photo of the document in here.
And 2,900 slaves, almost 3,000 slaves.
Yeah.
That's a lot to be in just D.C.
Yeah.
Just D.C.
This D.C., Yep. The District of Columbia Emancipation Act. This is an actual document right here. All right. So white people got reparations. The former slave owners got reparations.
Right. In order to send their slaves off.
Yep. And all right. So next up, reparations at the Rosewood Massacre, a model descendants say. All right. You ever seen that movie Rosewood? I mean, it came out a long time ago. I was young when that movie came out.
Dang, if you were young.
Oh yeah. Yeah, jokes. Yeah, there was a movie. Did you hear about Rosewood?
What's the story?
Oh, that's one. This was down in Florida, where a white woman would claim that she was raped by a black man, and then the courts agitated the white community, and they basically burnt the place down and killed people. Like they mobbed up.
And about what year was this? When it happened? What decade?
Right here, 1923. Yeah, a long time ago. But they had a movie where Ving Rhames was playing one of the guys there. He was younger. He was on horseback. He had a cowboy hat. He had his shotgun with him and everything, man. But I mean, it was. And I remember my mom taking me to the movies to watch the movie.
Yeah.
And I never forget, man, that it was like 2 young white girls sitting behind us.
Yeah.
And dude, within the first 20 minutes, they bust out of there crying.
What?
They didn't do it because I think the movie started off with the riot, and then the false claim of rape, and they couldn't take that truth, man. Like they ran out there crying. They couldn't take it, man. I do remember that.
But slavery was just 100 years ago.
Yeah,
I mean, there was a lot more. That's the thing. Reparations. They talk about reparations. It's not just about slavery.
Yeah.
It's all the jacked up stuff they've been doing in America.
It's
keep
much.
Doing.
Yeah, you're still in it.
Right.
You're still slaves.
Right.
But yeah. So, the descendants from the Rosewood Massacre, they did get a form of reparations. So we won't get into it.
Yeah, but how much did they get?
Oh man, it's garbage. As each new year approaches, Ebony Pickett looks back to the dark history of the massacre that began in the little-known majority black enclave in Rosewood, Florida, on January 1st, 1923. Damn, right there with the American New Year. Pickett, descended from residents of Rosewood, feels the legacy of the massacre in personal ways. She was one of the first students to receive a Rosewood Family Scholarship from the state after Florida passed reparations legislation a quarter century ago. Pickett used her scholarship to attend Florida A&M University and earned a bachelor's in occupational therapy in 1998. The mother of 7, dang. She is now a part-time occupational therapist at 2 charter schools. As the call for reparations for the black community in America has gotten louder in recent years, the story of the Gulf Coast town of Rosewood and Florida's measures to repair the harm done has received more recognition. On that first day of 1923, a white woman in the neighboring community of Sumner alleged that she had been attacked in her home by an unidentified black man, according to a 1993 report written by 5 scholars for the Florida border regions. As the news of the woman's report spread to the white community, violence broke out. Many of the town's residents fled into the swampy woods and record cold winter temperatures.
Goodness.
A black church was burned, and then 6 days later, a mob of at least 100 white people gathered and watched the burning of the remaining structures in the black part of Rosewood.
Man, a swampy, like not just a woods, a swampy woods in the winter.
Man, it gotta be cold, damp, terrifying on so many levels.
Man.
And you don't know what's in those swamps, bro.
Exactly, bro. This is Florida.
Yeah. The report notes that the grand jury found insufficient evidence for prosecution, despite the fact that 8 people, 6 blacks, and 2 whites died in the violence. But those figures are how long been questioned and countered. The question of how many people died remains, however, And maybe it never be solved. It was much higher than that.
Just like multiple massacres.
Yeah, it was it was much higher than that. We'll skip this part. They'll talk about Black Wall Street here. Yeah, we are thriving. We are surviving, and we're able to have the government actually give us reparations, says Pickett. In America, as African American, I do feel that reparations are definitely warranted. Rosewood is a great example that can definitely be done. Yeah, but we better get into what they got as reparations. I mean, It's laughable and sad. Sherry Sherrod Dupree, a Florida historian who has spoken widely on the Rosewood incident, noted that the word reparations was not used during discussions seeking compensation. The special master to the Florida House of Representatives concluded in his 1994 final report the claimants had met the test of an inequitable claim bill by showing that a moral obligation exists to redress their injuries.
So basically, they're doing a bunch of legal talk in order to dance around actual reparation.
Oh, they even say right here. They did not use the term reparations because a lot of people that were in authority thought it was a dangerous term. They didn't want to use the word.
Man, so
they started disgusted. Black people and reparations do not go together according to them.
They don't want to put it in the same sentence.
Nope, at all. So the reparations have not undone what happened almost 100 years ago, as they scattered in 1923, some escaping by train. Survivors of the violence moved to other parts of Florida and other parts of the country, some fearful until the day they died, said Pickett. That they could have been followed by the same mob member to destroy their homes. All that remains of Rosewood today is a house where a white merchant lived, an historical marker.
Goodness.
Right. The state's special master in the Rosewood case recommended payments of $150,000 to each survivors will be given to 9 individuals.
What?
There's 9 people. And the establishment of the state scholarship fund for descendants. The Rosewood Family Scholarship has since benefited more than 290 recipients and currently pays a maximum of $6,100 academic year to direct descendants to apply and verify their family connection. So you're only getting like $6,000. And I looked at the price of FAMU admission.
Yeah,
it's about $6,000. So so that don't include your books, dorm, or nothing. Like this, your bare tuition, and then you gotta prove. Like say, you gotta verify your family connection.
Goodness, man.
Older descendants of Rosewood warned that if even they are successful, struggles for reparations takes time and perseverance. There were several versions of the Rosewood compensation package before the final one was signed into law.
So was that the final one?
That was the final one. Yeah. So that, don't tell them what they were going for beforehand, but that's all they end up getting in the end.
Right.
And this passage did not pave a smooth path for everyone. Survivors no longer qualify for benefits such as Medicaid, and they receive the money and end up paying medical costs out of pocket. Survivors no longer qualify for benefits such as Medicaid when they see the money and end up paying for medical costs out of pocket. Students who lived or chose to attend schools out of state couldn't get the scholarship or had to pay a higher tuition prices if they returned to the state for college.
You gotta be kidding me, yo.
But nevertheless, Rosewood family members still say their efforts could be mirrored by others.
So we're looking at this like a victory?
Right.
That's our victory?
That's sad, bro.
Oh, man. What the heck?
But that's what they thought about it.
Yeah. It's an example.
Yeah.
Goodness, yo.
9 individuals got $150,000. Then they probably taxed it. So they ain't really nothing at all.
Man, and think, not 150,000 divided by 9.
Yeah.
I'm not doing the math, but yo.
Yeah. Oh, well, they got 150,000 each because I think they were trying to say the lump. I saw another article that said the lump sum was like 2,000,
so
like 2 million.
Each. Okay, all right.
Yeah, but it broke down to 150,000 per person.
Man.
Yeah, and like I said, public tax, and then you can't go to any school you want. You had to go to a local school because that's all they're paying for.
And that's so.
And which means the money going right back to them.
Exactly.
Because it's a state school, so they really ain't paying nothing. They literally ain't paying nothing.
Right.
I was like, that is a bite in the seat. That's a write-off.
Man, that is something else. So they gave the reparations to the people so that they could come to the school and give it right back.
Yeah, Ma's right. Like, we got something mentality. Like, you just take the little bitty win, and that's it.
You see, they thought about us.
Yeah, and you got to fight tooth and nail just to get that.
Right.
And then you got to prove your family connection.
Yeah.
Just to get that.
And then, I mean, if you're out of state, what was it saying? If you're out of state?
Yeah, if you're out of state, yeah, students who lived or chose to attend schools out of state couldn't get the scholarship or had to pay high tuition prices if they returned to the state for college.
Wow.
So even if you return back home, you can't get the home price.
They had to pay higher tuition prices.
So they're probably still charging you out-of-state fees for your own home state. Because you decided to go to somewhere else first.
Wow, man.
They wasn't having it, man. That's crazy.
So that's a lot of stipulations for giving back.
This is the history of U.S. reparations, man. And we got some more.
Oh, yeah, let's get into it.
America had tried reparations before, and this is how it went. With a new focus, reparations for slavery, what lessons can be drawn from payments to victims of other historical injustices in America? So this is from the New York Times. So this is about the Native Americans here. Native Americans did not get full control money awarded to them. All right?
Man, ain't that something?
Yeah, but
you get money, but you can't. You got somebody telling what you can do with it.
Crazy. All right. After World War II, Congress created the Indian Claims Commission to pay compensation to any federal recognized tribe for land that had been seized by the United States. The group's mission was complicated by the paucity of written records, difficulties in putting value on the land for its agricultural productivity or religious significance, and problems with determining boundaries and ownership from decades or more than a century earlier. This sound like excuses. That's what I'm hearing.
They're just trying to dance around because look, if they want something done, it will be done.
It'll be done. The results were disappointing for Native Americans. The commission paid out about $1.3 billion, the equivalent of less than $1,000 for each Native American in the United States at the time the commission dissolved in 1978.
Are you kidding me?
So I see the media blasting out $1.3 billion, but you break that down, you got less than 1,000. And again, they probably taxed it.
Yeah.
On top of that. All right. On one level, it was remarkable, said Melody McCoy. How? A lawyer for the Native American Rights Fund, a nonprofit group that has represented tribes in hundreds of major cases. And you terrible, you thought that was remarkable.
Right.
Congress listened to the claims of tribal leaders.
You see, they'll take any little thing, any little scrap.
Anything, man. And that is sad to me. All right. But Ms. McCoy said, the government took a paternalistic view and kept the Native Americans from having the direct control of the funds in the belief they were not competent to receive such large amounts of money.
Like their children.
They say that about us now. That's
exactly.
Excuse now. Oh yeah, you should get them along. I heard somebody say it around me. I heard some like older white coworkers talk about it. They said the same thing.
Right.
And it was liberals. I was like, so you can tell how people can spend their money? Okay.
Like, man, like that's the thing. What do you want to do? You want them to spend their money because they're gonna get it back.
They're going to get it right back anyway.
Right.
Yep. They did not make those awards whether it was $200 million, $20 million, or $20,000. They held that money in trust accounts.
You're kidding me, yo.
A separate agreement struck with Congress in 1971 led to the biggest reward, $962 million worth of land in Alaska, some 44 million acres in return for Indians, Eskimos, and Utes relinquishing their Aboriginal claims to the rest of the state.
So we'll give you this if you say, man, so the deal is...
give up who you are.
You have to give up your claim to this whole state in order to get a piece of the state.
In Alaska.
What kind of sense? And
Alaska is not the land of milk and honey, buddy.
Exactly. And then even what Miss McCoy was saying before when she said the government's taking a paternal role.
Yeah.
You see how they try to nice it up?
Yeah.
They try to make it sound all nice and sweet like the government's looking out for the Native Americans.
And then it said once again the compensation was not awarded directly. Instead, the land was put in control of corporations and the beneficiaries were given shares of stock in them.
So you're getting shares of the stock in the land.
Yeah,
man, that's
which
so
means
far removed.
So which means by the oil companies basically.
Wow.
Okay, they're basically up there. They drill oil up there. I mean, what else are they doing up there? I mean, they ain't growing crops up there in Alaska, right?
Unless they got casinos.
Probably. So victims of forced sterilizations were left out. One of the thorniest problems with making reparations to victims of sweeping historical injustices in deciding who is included and who is not. In 2013, North Carolina became the first state in the country to pass a law intended to compensate the surviving victims among the 7,600 people who were sterilized under a decades-long eugenics program. The victims were largely poor, disabled, or African-American states. Lawmakers set up a $10 million fund to compensate them, which that's not a lot of money.
Man, $10 million and...
Yeah, that's not a lot of money. Like I said, it's so taxed.
But, I mean, you're also seeing America's dirty laundry.
Yeah.
The fact that North Carolina had a eugenics program, and I mean, I looked it up. I forgot the name of it, but it was basically a legit eugenics, the same way you got any other company. Mm-hmm. This thing was, it had advertisements, it had all these different things, and this was like maybe this was during the 1900s.
Wow. Yeah, this was not that long ago.
Yeah. A whole eugenics program, man.
Yeah, not that long ago. Conflicts arose over who is eligible. State commission and state courts denied claims from relatives of victims who had died. Others were deemed ineligible because they had been sterilized by county welfare offices and not by the state eugenics program. Wow.
Man.
They got left out. Mr. Bollinger said, you got to draw your reparations law broadly enough that you don't leave out the people you're trying to help, because they weren't trying to help them.
And then on top of it, the people who were sterilized weren't able to have kids.
On top of that, they were killing off the bloodlines.
Exactly. So there's not much. How are you going to give back when the people passed, and weren't able to have kids?
Yeah,
man.
And they got Planned Parenthood now.
Yeah.
Killing us off. Oh man, so that's the Native Americans. Well, we kind of go through
Native
this.
Americans, that's people who got sterilized.
Yeah.
Basically, like they dished it out, but they weren't like they. You're gonna give people money. And then you're gonna tell them how to use that money.
And you tell them how they receive the money. They got shares.
Exactly.
They don't even give you cash. If that company crashes, your money had no value. And and also considering, Biden is in power, and you're gonna put that new Green Deal thing initiative going on. So he's trying to get away from oil stuff anyway.
And another thing too is you got to think about, man, if they put this money into these communities, they don't want them to be able to build themselves up in America. That's another thing with reparations.
You can't empower the people you're trying to oppress.
That's the same thing with these reparations, with the natives, with black folks. They don't want to give you money so you can build yourself up.
No.
Why do you think they want to control how you use the money?
Yeah, they want to say the man control everything.
Right.
We got some more. You go down to the Asians.
Yeah.
You just talked about them last week? Defining the wrong done to Japanese Americans was fairly straightforward. All right.
So it was straightforward. It was nice, short, sweet, to the point.
Man, but I learned some stuff out of this one, man. This is crazy. On separate occasions, 40 years apart, Congress awarded payments to Japanese Americans who were taken from their homes in World War II and sent to internment camps. The Japanese American Evacuation Claims Act of 1948 offered compensation for real and personal property they had lost. About $37 million was paid to about 26,000 claimants, but no provision was made for the lost freedom of violated rights.
Yeah, that's not that much.
Nah, but then again, in 1988, so they got more stuff. So
they kept going.
Yeah. They got stuff twice.
Interesting.
And 1988, when Congress voted to send an apology and pay $20,000 to each Japanese American survivor of an internment. More than $1.6 billion was paid to 82,219 eligible claimants. All right, so even more people.
Dang.
Their internment had been carried out without adequate security reasons. Congress declared and was motivated largely by racial prejudice, wartime hysteria, and the failure of political leadership. As if they were the only people going through that.
Right.
The act acknowledged that the physical and emotional damage the internees had suffered, including miseducation and job training, could never be fully compensated. The bill produced a wonderful feeling among Japanese Americans, according to Representative Robert T. Matshu. Is that how you pronounce his name? A California Democrat who was interned with his parents as a child. It lifted the specter of disloyalty that hung over us for 42 years because we were incarcerated. We were made whole again as American citizens.
So it's interesting when natives or we or the idea of us even getting reparations.
They made it seem like, they worded it as if like we didn't go through crap.
Man, but think about it. When we get reparations, they want to put stipulations on it. You know what I mean? Like, we don't want to give them too much. When they gave reparations to the Japanese, it's like we can't compensate them enough.
Yeah, so we went back and came on another bill with more.
And then when they did that, they said they could never be fully compensated.
And an apology for it. Crazy, right?
Wow.
All right. This goes back counseling. Oh yeah, this happened in Chicago. I want to go back into the. Okay, we're gonna go back to the Japan thing in a minute. Counseling and education was part of making amends for police abuses in Chicago. All right, so Chicago paid quote unquote reparations too. The men who survived brutal treatment by Chicago police commander and his midnight crew of detectives wanted more than money. As part of the $5.5 million reparations measure, Enacted by the city in 2015, Chicago agreed to compensate 57 victims, nearly all African American men from the city's south side, who said the police had beaten, shot, suffocated, and psychologically tortured them to obtain confessions. Which, we've seen that with Central Park 5. I mean, you know,
that's just one example. They do it all the time.
All the time, right? But the city also agreed to finance a torture justice center to provide counseling to scores of victims of the commander, John Bird, and other survivors of police brutality. The city supported building a public memorial and agreed to weave lessons about the legacy of nearly 20 years of abuse into the public school curriculum. Students in Chicago now learn about the police torture in history class. Reparations have been, always will be, more than the apology and a paycheck, said Joey Mungle, a lawyer who wrote a draft of reparations ordinance and represented several survivors. We have to consider all the harm people have endured. All right, yeah. So that's crazy. But this is back to the Japanese American stuff, man. Like, it was just, man, I learned some stuff. I mean, I always knew about it, but I didn't really know the details. But by putting together research for the show, I learned some stuff out the process.
Like, they were really manic when it came to the whole thing with the Pearl Harbor. Even though, what I mean, it's speculated that the whole Pearl Harbor thing was just America trying to be tagged into the war. Yeah.
I mean, they actually, I don't know, it's still on YouTube, man, but it's actual footage of what happened that day. And for I recall, because they had radar systems then, right? And that morning of Pearl Harbor, they sent 2 new guys to check out this, I would say like a radar tower.
Yeah.
So they sent 2 new guys to check it out. So while they're out there, they probably be like a test run. They said they're doing a test.
Yeah.
They'll be doing a test run on this radar tower out there. I guess training of some sort. They start seeing planes on the radar.
Right.
And they called it in. They're like, yo, we seen some planes on here, you know. So and they had footage of them dialing in to the commander, let them know they seen something on here. And they were trying to make it seem like, oh, they're just, you know, there was just like a flaw in the system, something of some sort. They came with some excuse. But that was real Japanese people coming through there.
No, they're just fake planes.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, so they came through, man, and they bombed the hell out of Pearl Harbor, man. And, you know, like I say, man, that war saved the economy.
Yeah.
You know, because war spurs money. You know, so history of the War Relocation Authority, WRA sites, all right? The prison process. Shortly after the issue of Executive Order 1966, Japanese immigrants and American citizens of Japanese ancestry found themselves incarcerated in assembling centers and War Relocation Authority centers. Numerous administrative orders came from the U.S. military, and numerous federal agencies quickly organized the removal of the entire Japanese American communities from the west coast of the United States. The Executive Order 1966 provided a legal tool for the military to carry out mass incarceration for the protection of national security. The Secretary of War and their military commanders created military areas from which they could exclude any persons and subject them to whatever restrictions the federal government felt appropriate. Wide open. The U.S. government then created 2 sets of concentration camps to hold the excluded persons, 17 assembly centers, and 10 WRA centers. The Western Defense Command and 4th Army then issued a civil exclusion order to remove and incarcerate all persons of Japanese ancestry from within the declared declared military areas, issued on March 18, 1942. Executive Order 9102 created the WRA to manage the evacuation project once the military had removed the population considered as security risk from designated military areas. Yeah, my bad, my bad. Yo, one thing that stood out to me about this though.
Yeah.
People say, like when Trump signed those executive orders last year, like, oh, that don't mean nothing. And then Biden came in, he signed over 50 executive orders. Like, oh yeah, they just talk.
Right.
This was an executive order. So an executive order gave them that type of power to wrap up a whole
Here's the thing about executive. Well, I mean, man, the rabbit hole with executive orders goes a bit deep. But let's just say they're able to get certain things done off the books. So you know how you have a law, when a law is passed by Congress or basically by, you know, the House, or when a law is passed by the House, by the judicial branch or the legislative branch, it's one of those things where it's on the books. You're able to look it up. You can actually find the law and read it. When you get an executive order, it's off the books. You can't look. You don't have to look it up, but it's a law.
It's a law. And remember, just like a couple weeks ago, the Biden said that he would not cancel $50,000 in student debt because like they require at the country, like he can do executive order of some sort.
Right.
And he also said he can do executive order. I guess somebody asked about reparations, but here executive order was issued, and they went out and they wrapped up a whole bunch of people, and this costs money.
Executive orders mean something.
Yeah, they mean something, and this matter how much money that cost. They send out the amount of people to round up of people and build these centers on a whim.
All these, right.
That's a lot.
Man, they poured.
I wonder what the time frame took to do all this.
Right.
That is crazy to me. You know, the same way NASA can do detailed studies on how to go to Mars. Yeah.
Right.
I still think NASA is really the Space Force. Like,
man,
like you're not doing all this studying over. You spend all these millions and billions of dollars studying some space rocks. I think the whole thing is about military use.
Yeah, I mean, I think they got some spooky stuff planned, man. I mean,
and then you got the whole thing with rover,
right,
back on Mars right now. You know, that the far we know anyway.
And then you know the NASA and their connection to the Nazis and all that.
There could be studies the impact of slavery on captive Africans and their descendants. Yeah, I mean, you know, we study stuff all the time. I mean, you study on our own. Yeah, you would need a law for a study.
That's the thing. You can study all this, but they're gonna study and find what. You know,
right.
And then by the time the study wraps up, quote unquote wraps up, you know, there's probably gonna be a shift in power.
You know, the War Relocation Authority centers, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and the U.S. Army Civil Administration, the Wartime Civil Control Administration, with the assistance of numerous other government agencies, carried out the bulk of planning and construction for the confinement sites. All this is executive order now, mind you.
Yeah.
That's a lot of planning and money and time. The U.S. final report claimed that assembly centers were completed within 28 days. God dang.
Man.
In both rural and urban areas between February 1942 and March 20, 1942. 28 days, you put the whole center, bro.
Man, and these are multiple. You see all these?
Multiple. With compressed schedules, the sibling centers were actually in communal state of construction and barely completed by the time the evacuees were transported to the WRA centers between March and November 1942. So that was a long year of process putting this together.
Right.
And here's a list. So you got Santa Anita, California, Fresno, California, Marysville, California, Maya, Arizona, Merced, California, Owens Valley, California. I mean, it's a lot of different locations here. Parker Dam, Arizona, Pinedale, California. Like, these are a lot of locations here.
Right.
Going on at the same time throughout 1942.
Goodness,
yeah, this is crazy. Yes, I learned some stuff. The first time I really learned about this, man, wasn't, I mean, of course in school, but this is briefly.
Yeah.
But Linkin Park.
The band?
Mm-hmm. Because Mike Shinoda.
Oh.
Yeah, like he had Japanese.
Yeah, and are they from the West Coast?
Yeah, from the West Coast. And then they had I don't know if it came from a solo album or remember they did a remix album with the Reanimation album. This is a long time ago. This is, you probably you were young.
Yeah.
But that's when Linkin Park, that was like the epitome of rock rap was in. And and I remember he told a story in one of the songs. I want to say it came from a solo album.
Yeah.
He told a story about how his grandfather was part of this program and how they got reparations for it. And I remember even young, this is like 20 years ago. Yeah. So even then, I just kind of remember that, like, you got reparations. You know what I mean? It kind of stuck it back in my mind.
And I imagine you thought I was on. You're like, oh, so they got reparations?
Yeah, right, yeah. Because they just, But yeah, man, that was just crazy. But yeah, but this is a photo of these camps, man.
That looks freaking horrible.
Man,
what an eyesore.
Whew. With the standardized designs, monotonous topography policy, land ownership, the building initiatives of the incarcerated Japanese American communities, and other factors create differences in the War Relocation Authority center designs. For example, as an exception to single-site camps, multiple cities with populations of 5,000 to 10,000 people were each created on Native American reservations.
Wow.
So they took these Japanese Americans and then put them in their own land. They put it on a Native American land.
And that's they said, hey, we're gonna come in your land.
Yo, we gave you this as we'll give you some reservations, but we're gonna put these Japanese people on your land.
In prison camps.
Yeah, we're gonna build prison camps on your land.
What?
That part I did not know.
Oh man,
I did not know that.
Jokers, man. What?
They ain't doing it on their own land, man. You invaded their land and put it on their land.
Wow. To do your dirty work.
You do it, yeah, right.
Oh, wow.
So they were created on Native American reservations under jurisdiction of the Office of Indian Affairs, Secretary of Interior within the Galley River and Colorado relocation centers.
So now they got to deal with it.
They got to deal with it, man. Man, on their land, man. That was like located on the Colorado River Indian Reservation.
We're going to put it on your land and you have to deal with it.
Yes.
And that's a mess.
Oh, man. Each WRA center constituted a new small city requiring significant investments to infrastructure to provide basic functions for living. The typical residential blocks house approximately 300 people and 14 barracks with a shared mess hall, a recreation hall, 2 communal bathhouses for men and women, a laundry room, ironing room, and a heating oil storage tank.
Just 2 communal bathhouses. That's basically prison.
That's all you get, bro.
Wow.
Yeah, y'all watch each other doing the do, basically. Yeah, the United States government produced a majority of the architectural engineering drawings, plans, and maps in the website collection. Yeah, we saw it on the website. This collection must then be interpreted with the context of a government's power over a group of people incarcerated on the basis of their ancestry. The material components of the site were almost all dismantled, destroyed, or salvaged, leaving behind barren landscapes with few structures. Thus, the mapping and plans included here are important for imagining the look and material filled Japanese American confinement sites. During Inferno, the WRA represented lively, viable cities that existed within the limitations of incarceration and the negotiation of the citizens and their jailers. The WRA center sites are developing today as educational and destination sites, transforming the memory of those cities once again. Yo, so once they were done with it, they destroyed it. I just talked to a black guy, I want to say last week.
Yeah.
And he didn't believe in the slave trade.
You kidding?
And because there wasn't evidence of the ships. But you see right here, they destroyed all evidence that they had. Like, all you see here is a picture.
Man, and on top of it, please show me a ship from the 1800s.
Man, I would.
A ship from the...
And then what they would use as a slave ship anymore, they were repurposed.
Man,
they redid those ships.
If you've ever seen in India when they have they have, it's like one of the most dangerous jobs where they take apart boats.
Yeah.
But I mean, these are big old industrial metal boats, but when they pull up, they're all torn up, they're falling apart.
It's a long wear and tear of traveling the seas like that.
Boats don't last that long.
Then he told me there's no direct route from West Africa to here.
Then how the heck? How did they get from Europe to the Americas? How did the people?
I was like, how did people from here get from here to Liberia?
And here's a wild thing. He said he doesn't believe in the slave trade, right? But he believes that the blacks, that the blacks are Native Americans. Then how they get here from Africa? There's no direct route.
Yo, when he told me that, honestly, I'm the type of person, man. I'm not one of the type of people. I'm not gonna beat you into seeing my point of view.
You're not gonna debate him. You're gonna.
And he's a cool dude. We had a real good conversation because there's some stuff we did agree on.
Yeah.
On some other topics, but I'm the type of person. It was just interesting to hear his point of view. Right. And where he came from, and I asked him where he getting information from. He put me onto a couple of YouTubes and whatever, and I can see where he got it from. But the BOB mindset, it seemed like, but it just shows that you don't have to sit here and argue with people and yell in their face. You have a disagreement. You can agree to disagree.
Right.
I was just curious because sometimes I like talking to people with different viewpoints to see where they're coming from. I just thought that was interesting itself. So back to Native Americans.
Man, and how they just screw them over.
Paying to play Indian. The Dawes Rolls and the legacy of the $5 Indians. All right. This is the history of reparations in the U.S. Excuse me. I guess that's right. Dawes. That's how I pronounce it, right?
Dawes, yeah.
Yep. Dawes Rolls rife with opportunistic white men and early appropriation. It may be fashionable to play Indian now, but it was also trendy 125 years ago when people paid $5 apiece for falsified documents declaring them native on the Dawes Rolls. The so-called $5 Indian paid government agents under the table in order to reap the benefits that came with having Indian blood. Mainly white men with an appetite for land, $5 Indians paid to register on the Dawes Rolls, earning fraudulent enrollment in tribes along with benefits inherited by generations to come. So they tried to give the Native Americans some reparations, and white people couldn't allow it, so they had to get some of that too.
And here's the wild thing. When you have something like affirmative action, what
Yeah.
You're taking from us.
Yeah, right.
Whenever there's something, that is done to benefit another group of people, they see it as it's taken away from them.
Yeah, and we really benefit from affirmative action.
Right.
So,
right. So that's you see the hypocrisy in it.
Yeah.
But you see right there what their ancestors did. When there was something to benefit the Native Americans, hey, look, I'll slip you a 5.
Yeah, we want some of that too.
Right, and I'm Native American.
Right. like you saw in the comments.
Yeah.
Like they still think like that. These people have not changed their mindset.
Right. Here's a 5. I am full-blooded Cherokee now. Even though I have blonde hair and blue eyes.
They took the opportunities, man. They want access to the land and food rations.
Right.
You know,
food rations, yo.
Yeah, they wanted the food too. They were more than happy to exploit the Dawes Commission, and government agents for $5 were willing to turn a blind eye to the gap of corruption. So they made a killing on the table.
And this is the government that's doing it with these white men.
Yeah, government agents. The Dawes Commission, established in 1893 to enforce the General Allotment Act of 1887, or the Dawes Act, was charged with convincing tribes to cede their land to the United States and divide the remaining land to individual allotments. The commission also required Indians to claim membership in only one tribe and register on the Dawes rolls, with the government meant to be a definite record of individuals with Indian blood. All right. The Curtis Act, now these are multiple laws being passed here.
Wow.
The Curtis Act passed in 1898, targeted the 5 civilized tribes. So I guess those was barbaric.
According to them.
Forcing them to accept allotments and register on the Dawes rolls. The 2 acts, which came from a period of murky social context after the Civil War, when white and black men were intermarrying with Native American women, aimed to help the government keep track of real Indians while accelerating efforts to assimilate, keyword here, Indian people to white cultures. Like that what they did to us. It wasn't integration. It was assimilation.
And that's what, because they want they don't want, whenever there's a group of people underneath your control that has a proud identity, that's a threat.
That's a threat, man. They can't have they're scared of everything, man. They gotta be in control of everything.
Exactly.
By 1865, the so-called African Americans and the white Americans were moving to the Midwest, into Indian and Oklahoma territories, all vying for some patch of land they can call their own and live out the Jeffersonian view of independence. The federal government poured a lot of effort and energy into the Dawes Commission, but at the same time, it was very hard for both Native and American governors to keep track of who was who. The Dawes Commission set up tents in the Indian Territory, said to Bill Welch, director. Welch. Yeah. He's a part of Oklahoma Historical Society's Office of American Indian Culture and Preservation.
That's a lot of letters.
Man. There, field clerks scoured written records, took oral testimony, and generated enrollment cards for individuals determined to have Indian blood. I guess that's the way of doing like a census.
Yeah.
They included authentic Indians, but also included lots of people with questionable heritage. Of course, they did. There's some of the documents here. Yeah, a picture of the actual document. Tell you, man, this is real stuff, man.
So they basically forged history.
Basically.
Wow.
Basically. All right. The $5 Indians passed their unearned benefits to heirs and still lay claim to tribal citizenship and associated privileges.
So now you got white people getting.
So they still benefiting from it.
Right. So you got their white kids getting Native American benefits.
Now we have people who are white but who can trace their names back to the rolls used by tribal nations to assertion who have rights as citizens. That means we have white people who have the ability to vote at large. It means political rights. It means the potential to influence tribal policy on a whole range of issues. It means people have access to health care, education, and employment. Because they're documented as Indian. The implications are quite profound for people who got away with fraud.
Literal fraud, yo.
On the flip side, while non-natives paid to play Indian, many authentic Indians who didn't trust the government chose not to register with the Dawes rolls at all, which I don't blame them.
Right.
Said genealogists and genealogists at the Cherokee National Historical Society. That means people with legitimate claims to tribal enrollment and the benefits are now excluded. So they get nothing.
That's a mess.
Native Americans are the only racial group defined by blood. In other words, even that arbitrary. In the 1890s, siblings who talked to different commissioners emerged with different blood quantum. God dang.
And that is siblings.
Yeah, because they didn't apply together. Some of them had different blood degrees. In short, the Dawes rolls forever changed the way the federal government defined Indians. In many cases, the way Indians still define themselves.
So basically, it's kind of like a big old roll call, but a lot of white folk were running to get to that roll call, while actual natives who didn't trust the government.
They ain't been part of it. I mean, because we have history of breaking treaties and stuff in the past.
Right.
They started to get track. It's crazy.
And so the one thing that they do kind of keep up with,
they ain't even part of it.
Wow, man.
On paper, they don't exist.
Wow.
So in 1900, one woman registered on the rolls with 1 in 256 Cherokee blood. Now it's enrolled members of the Cherokee Nation has as little as 1 in 8,196 Indian blood. Like this, literally, like this is a drop of it, and you get these benefits.
And you know what that drop was, more than likely.
Yeah,
it's more likely a white dude that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I already know. The Dawes rolls even now are murky and very inaccurate gauge of Indian citizenship. He said in the 2000 census, the number of people claiming Cherokee ancestry was 3 times that of official tribal enrollment. Yeah, right. Man, that would happen when the federal government established the rules, not the natives. Yeah.
Wow.
Smith had no estimate of the number of people who fraudulently registered on the Dawes rolls or who laid false claims to Indian citizenship now. But $5 Indians did not represent an isolated case of appropriation. What we had was simply white people claiming to be Indian. Duh. They were early wannabes, just like we have today. $5 Indian, this is another term for that.
Wow.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, right. Your benefits. You ain't signed that paper. You ain't on the roll.
Man, and so they don't go through anything. They were actually the ones that oppressed the Indians, but they want to get their benefits still.
Yeah.
They want to still reap benefits from what they did to other people. But then
they're paying themselves, basically.
Yeah.
They're basically paying themselves.
But they don't want to give out any kind of reparations.
Nope.
Because obviously going to have gold rims and chains.
Yep. And of course, man, we can end off the show on that note, bro. We got some more.
No.
We got some more.
There's some other people that got reparations from the U.S.
Holocaust survivors. Family get money from $60 million fund.
Wow.
Thousands of Holocaust survivors and family members in the United States and elsewhere will be entitled to compensation from a $60 million French-U.S. fund announced Friday. This is from years ago. This was 2014.
Yeah.
Reparations to those deported by French state rail company SNCF during the Nazi occupation. All right. The compensation fund will be financed by the French government and managed by the United States. The accord will be signed on Monday in Washington. Like it's already been done, obviously.
I mean, they didn't seem to have to do any research or studies.
Or blood drops, any of that, right?
Right.
French government already paid more than $6 billion in reparations. Now, that is the French government, all right? But only to French citizens and certain deportees. All right. The new accord is to help compensate Americans, Israelis, and some others who are not eligible for other French reparations programs. Huh.
Wow.
How you pronounce it? Patriciana?
Patriciana.
There you go. A French ambassador for human rights who worked closely with Eisenstadt on the accord said hundreds of people in the U.S. are eligible under the new fund as direct survivors or spouses, and several thousand they could be eligible as heirs. That means their descendants get them.
Wow.
The money should break down to about $100,000 each for survivors and tens of thousands of dollars for spouses.
That is
from one fund. They ain't even talk about the other funds yet.
And it didn't seem like there was much arguing to get that.
No, they had to fight. None of that. They had to fight tooth and nail. Just go to state college and.
You didn't have a bunch of white supremacists saying, "Oh, that happened so long ago."
Man, that is crazy, man. The German government has paid about 70 billion euros to $85 billion in compensation for Nazi crimes.
Wow.
Man, it's just so. I mean, multiple countries paid reparations here.
Right.
All right. France already has international accords with 4 countries: Poland, Belgium, Britain, and the Czech Republic, over compensation for deportation victims. So they kept paying these people.
Right.
Friday deals aim to fill the remaining gaps in justice for others. Aims to fill in the remaining gaps for justice for other also affected. You try to make sure everybody gets some of this money.
Man, they are literally scrambling to give out the money. It's like the money's burning their hands.
Although SNCF, which is the rail company, is not a party to the agreement, the company would contribute $4 million over the next 5 years to fund Holocaust memorials and museums in the U.S. Israel, and France. Yo, so people gotta realize, man.
Man, that's interesting. So they're like, we're not a party, but here's $4 million.
First of all, the U.S. had nothing to do with the Holocaust.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they wouldn't American people put them through that.
Matter of fact, didn't the U.S. help, according to history?
Yeah, you know, they had their hand in it.
Right.
You know, and then remember we had that cruise ship of we covered in the early show, that cruise ship of Ish people trying to come to America, and we rejected them.
Yeah. And
they had to go back there and hop into the Holocaust.
Right.
That's one thing. The second point I wanted to make, well, they have more money than that, because we got to go over to more money that they received, right? Oh yeah, this point I'm about to make. When you build a museum, and like I said, I used to work at the
aquarium.
Yeah, the aquarium.
Yeah.
Usually, you know, you don't want to think about this. They say, oh yeah, non-profit, you know, donated such amount of money and built the aquarium.
Yeah.
Once you build it, it costs money to maintain it.
Yeah.
You gotta pay people with supplies, resources, all sorts of stuff. So you know, so now when you build these museums, somebody gotta maintain these museums. We gotta have staff yearly, security. It's so much stuff that had to go into it. So they get money every year to stay open. Somebody paying them, they get money from somewhere to stay open.
Right.
Every year. And you talk about, we have multiple memorials across the U.S. for them.
Man.
You know, it was not done here. Right?
And that's
But we go to the black people's favorite president, though. Right? We go to that.
Barack Obama.
Obama administration earmarks $12 million in reparations for Holocaust survivors. So they got some more money.
Wow. So Obama was not only the gays president, but the Uish.
Yeah, the Uish. Yeah, they call them the Uish.
Yeah.
In response to the Obama administration last week approved $12 million in aid over the next 5 years to assist these survivors. This was part of an initiative backed by This was part of an initiative backed by Vice President Joe Biden in 2013.
Wow, okay. Hey, he backed it.
He backed it now. He backed those reparations, though.
But where's the studies? He didn't have to study that.
No, man. Last year, the White House named Aviva Sofan as special envoy for U.S. Holocaust Survivor Services.
Man, you know what's interesting? They're going to put more money into studies than actually giving out reparations.
They're going to put the money into the study. Oh, that study not going to get signed.
I mean, $5 maybe, you know?
Yeah. Many European countries have paid victims of the Holocaust. Many countries.
Right.
On top of the list is Germany, which paid over $9 billion in reparations. And 2012, Germany gave.
2012.
Yeah, and right.
No. That's overall.
Oh yeah. In 2012, the government gave an estimated 80,000 survivors in other countries a one-time payment of $3,250.
80,000. There's still that much of them?
Yeah. Yo, we found. I found it a long time ago. Like, we always hear about the number, how many Uish was eaten in the Holocaust. I'm not gonna deny that the event happened. It happened. Of course,
yeah.
The Holocaust did happen.
Yeah.
But I do question the numbers. So, because they tell you a certain number of people went through it. Yo, you should look up the census during that time in Europe and Russia. You know, like, to see how many people that they had during that time. Because how is so many still around and they killed so many people?
Man, because it wasn't 6 million dead.
Yeah, like they try to make it like.
And right there, that's 80,000 in 2012.
Yeah. Right. Huh. And that was what Germany gave them. I mean, these people get money all across the world. Yeah, if you got one. The number keeps changing. The number kept going up.
Interesting.
Yeah. This is not the first time America had paid restitution reparations to the survivors of the racial atrocities. In 1990, like, they keep paying them.
Right. In
1998, the United States pledged to pay $1.25 billion to Japanese Americans and their heirs. So that was what they got.
Yeah.
You know, and then in addition to the $1.65 billion previously paid to 81,278 claimants. So remember, they did get paid twice.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the United States paying reparations to blacks who suffer oppression and genocide, there's no money forthcoming. Taking aside the argument that descendants of former slaves in the United States are more than deserving of economic justice, what about the 20th century black Holocaust? There are, in fact, instances of many of the survivors are still living. The bombing and burning of Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, 1921.
Yeah. The
burning and lynching of Rosewood, Florida, 1923. The Moores Ford Bridge Massacre, 1947. Church burnings that took place from 1954 to 2015.
Man, 1954 to 2015.
The illegal and unconstitutional arrest of blacks in the civil rights movement. Jim Crow laws acted at the state and local levels in order to the federal level. Implications of CIA linked crack academic to in black communities. Hurricane Katrina victims living below the poverty line. The list goes on and on and on and on.
And on and on
And on and on and on.
and on and on
And on. We'll get some more numbers here to show you. The U.S. financial aid to Israel. Figures, facts, and impact.
Man, and that whenever in politics, whenever there's a black question, what are you going to do for black people? People of color and, schools, education. And
yeah, you'll get free school.
Right.
In state.
But then when it comes to what they're going to do for Israel, man,
they didn't get their money in the trust. They didn't get shares coming to a corporation. They got cash money.
Man, they get specific when it comes to Israel.
They get cash money.
Down to the pennies.
Since 1992, the U.S. has offered Israel an additional $2 billion annually in loan guarantees. Congressional researchers have disclosed that between 1974 and 1989, $16.4 billion in U.S. military loans were converted to grants. And this was understanding.
Loans were converted to grants, yo.
And this was the understanding from the beginning. So free money, the loans would be paid back. They turned into grants. Indeed, all past U.S. loans to Israel have eventually been forgiven by Congress, which undoubtedly helped Israel. Israel often touted a claim that had never been defaulted on the U.S. government loan because they've been turned into grants. No money. U.S. policies since 1984 have been that economic assistance to Israel must equal or exceed Israel's annual debt repayment to the United States.
What?
Unlike other countries which receive aid in quarterly installments, aid to Israel since 1982 have been given in a lump sum at the beginning of the fiscal year, leaving the U.S. government to borrow from future revenues. Israel even lends some of this money back through U.S. Treasury bills and collects additional interest.
So Israel owes the U.S. money, and the U.S. like, you know what? We're going to pay you what you owe us and more.
And more.
And then Israel's like, you know what? You guys owe us money.
Yeah, and collect the additional interest.
Wow, man.
That's crazy, bro.
And that's all.
In addition, there's more than $1.5 billion in private U.S. funds that go to Israel annually in the form of $1 billion in private tax-deductible donations and $500 million in Israeli bonds. The ability of Americans to make what amounts to tax-deductible contributions to a foreign government, made possible through a number of Jewish charities, does not exist in any other country. Nor do these figures include short and long-term commercial loans from U.S. banks, which has been as high as $1 billion annually in recent years.
Man,
that's our tax money.
It is our tax. And here's the interesting thing about tax money, because everybody talks about, our tax money is going into your community with welfare and all this. First off, white people are the biggest users of welfare, because we often focus on the projects and the Section 8 housing. You ever seen a trailer park? You see how those things are all over the place.
Yeah.
Now think about the whole continental U.S. where there's not black folk. There's still trailer parks.
Yeah.
All over the place. Yeah. Those people are getting welfare.
Yep.
So white people are the biggest users of welfare in the U.S.
This about population alone makes sense.
Just by population alone, that makes sense. And then another thing too, apart from the fact that we pay taxes, another thing too, if you actually look at the breakdown of where our tax money is going, to the actual welfare is not that much compared to the freaking military.
Yeah.
So the military is like this big, welfare is this big, but they don't want to cut down on the military. That's fine.
No. The military budget is high as shit. It was one of the highest in the world, actually.
No. But we're using up all the tax money.
Yeah. People have more anger for reparations than this, right? Man, that's crazy. The total U.S. aid to Israel is approximately 1/3 of the American foreign aid budget, even though Israel comprises of just 0.001% of the world's population.
Wow.
And already had one of the world's highest per capita incomes. And they got the most money. The GDP is higher than the combined of Egypt, Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, the West Bank, and Gaza.
So basically like the whole all the surrounding countries.
Oh, yeah.
Everything that borders them, they're making more money than them.
Yep. Aid does not term economic aid to Israel as development assistance, but instead uses the term economic support funding. Given Israel's relative prosperity, U.S. aid to Israel is becoming increasingly controversial. 1994, Yazi Berlin, Deputy Foreign Minister of Israel, and a Gazette member told Women's International Zionist Organization If our economic situation is better than many of your countries, how can we go on asking for your charity? Man, yeah, they getting that much money, man.
Bands, man.
But that's why they go to school for free, get the health care. We gotta pay for it.
Yeah.
They got the money, man. All right, so back to the HR 40 mess. Wrapping it up now, wrapping up the show here.
Yeah.
House restarts cultivation of reparations for Black Americans. Yeah, right. House makers on Wednesday debated proposed legislation to create a commission to study whether and how Black Americans should receive reparations for federal government as repentance for chattel slavery. Wednesday's subcommittee hearing comes 2 years after Democratic presidential candidates, including President Joe Biden, signaled support. He didn't say he'd do it. He said he may support it, reparations on the campaign trail, helping to make the issue a mainstream political topic.
It's interesting. So he said he was going to support reparations on the campaign trail, but then when Ice Cube came to talk to him his campaign about some tangibles for the Black community.
Talk to me after the election, bro.
Yeah, we'll talk after when I win.
Yeah, when I win, we talk then. Yeah, the Biden's Democratic predecessor and then the first Black president of the United States, Barack Obama, did not back reparations. But Biden expressed support for Jackson Lee's House Resolution 40 prior to taking office.
I don't back reparations. I back blue.
Biden has made unity and addressing racial equality a central government priority since taking office 4 weeks ago, as many Black lawmakers in particular have often emphasized accountability. Right. It's too late for that now.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, so we basically we covered this, man. That was just BS. We heard him talking in the beginning.
It's just politics. They're going to they're because they have to push the narrative of blacks save the election, all this and the third. They're going to dangle that carrot in front of you as long as you are running after.
I just feel like every time they want to talk about something else pops up.
Yeah.
There's always something.
Yeah.
Right now they about to work on another bill. Oh, they about to push the Equality Act. I think they're getting pushed to the House this coming week.
Oh man.
So the Black people still on that back burner.
Yeah.
Before that was a storm.
People of color getting help.
Yeah. But you're right.
Yeah.
Before that was a storm. Before that it was a Trump impeachment trial.
Yeah.
It's gonna be something after something after something, and still not gonna get signed because he never said he really gonna back the HR 40.
Yeah, he said, talking about research,
right?
Studies. Same thing he talked about when it came to legalizing marijuana.
Yeah, right. So,
you see when he's very proactive when it comes to Black issues that deal with locking us up.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to locking us up, he will throw his signature on that like a man shooting darts.
Yeah.
But when it comes to anything that benefits us, marijuana reform, reparations, he wants to do studies all of a sudden.
Yeah, all of a sudden, study.
All of a sudden, the man wants to go back to school.
Yeah.
He wants to sit down and start looking at numbers now. Nigga's a mathematician.
Man, that is crazy, man.
Hey, that's something.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all hanging with us tonight. We appreciate it. Like you saw the links that the mod has posted. Yeah, link to our merch. It's from the Yoshi channel.
Yeah.
Black Narrative merch, and like you said, we got the Patreon. We got the Cash. How you want to support the channel? If you do, we appreciate you. You can't. It's all good. I'm glad you're here with us and taking in the knowledge we put together, the research that we put together. I learned some stuff put together, man. I learned some stuff that I didn't quite know before. So we appreciate that. Definitely, we're going to repost this broadcast on the Black Narrative tonight, and definitely share it when you see it. We appreciate you on that end. We'll be back again. We had 2 more shows actually this week, so we're really excited about that. It's like I said, we've been working, man. Anything else you want to add, man?
Stay vigilant.
Yeah, man. So we appreciate y'all. Hope you have a good night, and we catch y'all on Thursday night at 8:00. Shalom.
Shalom. Good night, y'all.